Okay. How about the three queens? Because you've got these three queens. What are the differences between them? I mean, you mentioned that Queen Mary 2 is the last ocean liner.
Yeah.
Do different ships suit different people?
So the way that I'd view it is that Queen Mary 2 is the flagship. She's the biggest. She's the ocean liner. She's 150,000 gross tons, and then her sister ships are around the 90,000 gross ton mark. The difference is that Queen Mary 2 and Queen Elizabeth, the difference between Queen Mary 2, Queen Elizabeth and Victoria is Victoria and Elizabeth are a bit more intimate. So you talked about the grand, wide corridors of Queen Mary 2. And that's not to say that the corridors aren't wider than other cruise ships on Victoria and Elizabeth, but there is that slightly more intimate feeling. But in terms of the standards of service, the quality of the dining, and the quality of the insights programs, etc., there's very little between them. It's more around the fact that Queen Mary 2, because she is that much larger, has that much more variety of things to do. So there's not a planetarium on board Victoria or Elizabeth, but there is a cinema, and there is a highly spec'd, grandiose theatre. And the thing that probably ties them all together is the glamour of cruising, and there are cues back to sort of the golden era of the liners of the 30s, in terms of the decor. You know, there's elements of Art Deco there, and it's just a high quality experience. And that's what ties it all together.
Now, you mentioned before about White Star Service, and I see you've got the famous pin on that that I used to wear. It's lovely, and you talked about the White Star Service. Is it true that crew members will never say no to you? They'll always try and provide an alternative as part of their White Star Service?
As it should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely as it should be. As I said, the service is that it matches the surroundings. It complements the surroundings, and you're right. If a customer has a request, they will do everything they can to meet those requests.
Are the crew trained on board? How does it work?
So there's White Star, what's called the White Star Academy. So there is shore-based training, but most of the training is done in the training rooms on board. And we're very conscious that service is one of the key differentiators for Cunard, and we spend a lot of time making sure that those standards are maintained, are impeccable.
Let's talk now about another one of the iconic aspects, I suppose, of this iconic brand, which is the ship within a ship concept, the grills.
Yep.
The legendary Cunard grills. Tell us a bit about those.
So people might think, the different classes of cabins, if you like, but I would use the analogy of the airlines, where you've got first class, business class, premium economy, economy. Cunard doesn't really do economy, but think of the different grades of cabins. We've got our Britannia, which is our standard cabin. On Queen Mary 2 and Queen Victoria, there's Britannia Club, which is the Britannia cabins, but gives you dedicated dining options. And then grills that you mentioned, there's two grades of grills. There's Princess Grills and Queen's Grills. Queen's Grills is very much the first class, but grills customers will have obviously bigger cabins. They'll have their own dedicated dining facilities. They'll have dedicated butlers and stewards. And back to your point of every wish is tried to be met. And one of the key differences is for grills passengers, when they're in the dining option, they're absolutely encouraged to order off menu. There's a story I heard when I was on board of someone that was travelling. He was on board right at the beginning of December, and he wanted a Christmas lunch. And they made sure that at the next port they went and got some turkey, and they served this gentleman Christmas lunch.
I've got to admit, I've had my best food and dining experience ever in the Queen's Grill. I ate there on a few occasions, and I was blown away. It's probably the only way I could describe it. It was absolutely fantastic. So the Queen's Grill and the Princess Grill, they have their own lounge on board. They have their own separate restaurants, their own service.
They are. So
and priority and other aspects of the ship.
Exactly. So they'll have dedicated dining, dedicated lounges, dedicated deck space, dedicated crew. So from a ship within a ship concept, yes, but everyone's on board together, and you certainly don't feel as though there's any sense of sort of segregation that detracts from the experience.
I never heard one complaint in 3 years with Cunard. I never heard one mention of that, any feeling of that. So definitely, yeah.
And that's what I said. It's a common it's a common fact in the airline industry with the different classes, and it's the same.
Yeah.